Even though Death Battle's drawing to a close for this season, I just wanted to wish everyone the best of luck on March 2016. So, let's make this video last worthwhile. Ready, everyone? What kind of women do you like? That depends on the term superheroine. You've seen Rogue vs. Wonder Woman, Chun-Li vs. Mai Shiranui, the Ivy Valentine vs. Black Orchid, Yang Xiaolong vs. Tifa Lockhart, and various other girl vs. girl death battles that will blow your mind. But if you're wanting super strong women as your type of girls, look no further because I'm about to tell you guys everything about these two superheroines from two different comic universes. Because yeah, these Marvel vs. DC death battles are getting pretty popular. I'm Daniel Paul Moore, and I'm coming your way to tell you all why I wanted a death battle. Barda is a member of the race known as the New Gods. She was born about 250 years ago on Apocalypse. Her mother was named Big Brita, but Barda was taken away from her at an early age to be trained as a warrior. She was a product of Granny Goodness's home for orphaned youth. Granny's motto is Die for Darkseid, the planet's evil ruler. Granny groomed Barda to one day lead the Female Fury Battalion, a ferocious pack of warrior women. However, during a raid, Barda meets Scott Free, Darkseid's adopted son, and sensing a peace about him, fell in love. Barda risked her own safety to work with the rebel cell led by the new god Hemon. This comes directly after the murder of most of Hemon's cell by the local authority, Wonderful Williki. This includes one of Barda's people, Orelai, who was tortured to death for the crime of dancing. Moments later, Hemon kills Willik with a bomb. Barda, her Furies, Hemon, and Metron assist Scott in escaping Apocalypse. Darkseid himself calls for Scott to return, but doesn't actually stop him as he wishes Scott to leave, so a war with New Genesis can start. Barda doesn't leave at that point, for she is not emotionally ready. Eventually, Barda completely turns her back on Granny Goodness and came to Earth herself. Scott had become an escape artist called Mr. Miracle, and is teamed with Oberon, his diminutive manager. Oberon and Barda became close friends. For a while, Barda's Furies assist Scott in his showmanship efforts, but they return to Apocalypse by themselves. Scott and Barda are married by Scott's father, the High Father of New Genesis. For a number of years, Barda followed Scott and Oberon on tour. Eventually, they retired as superheroes and moved to Bailey, New Hampshire. However, despite their best attempts, a normal life eluded them. Disasters plagued them. Barda, Scott, and Oberon left Bailey and moved to a loft in Greenwich Village. Barda formed a defense training program for women called the New Female Furies. Though naive regarding Earth customs, Barda relished her roles of wife and housekeeper. However, when duty called, she never hesitated to assume the posture of a warrior, and when Scott joined the Justice League, Barda participated in several missions. In one instance, while training fire, her weapon, the Mega Rod, is stolen from her car. With the assistance of her husband and the Huntress, she gets it back, but not before many innocent people were killed by its wielder, who was unable to resist the corrupting influence of the Apocalyptian technology. Barda also led a JLA mission to rescue her husband after he was lost in space. The mission was a result of Manga Khan selling Scott to Granny Goodness. Her teammates include Martian Manhunter, Rocket Red, and Gnorts. In an attempt to dissuade their successful pursuit, Manga Khan hired Lobo, paying him in dolphin feed to kill them. He almost does before Barda teleported him to a random location, that being 10 feet behind Guy Gardner's skull. The repercussions of that literal meeting of the minds would last for years. For a time, Barda mourned Scott, believing him slain in a battle with Despero. It had been a robot double destroyed, This was part of a plan by Manga Khan. After their time with the JLI, the two left Earth for New Genesis. However, they soon returned to Earth and took up temporary residence aboard the Justice League Refuge. During this period, the couple separated briefly due to Scott's lack of consideration for her feelings. Barda also perishes, but is reborn via Scott's temporary access to great cosmic power. Barda has served as a member of the JLA in her own right as well. At Tachyon's order, she and fellow New God Orion were sent as agents of New Genesis to serve on the team. Tachyon predicted that the Earth faced a grave threat. Their mission is to help mobilize Earth's heroes against the omnipotent Mageddon. Over time, they become involved with several other JLA missions. Adam Strange, needing help with an alien invasion, enslaved the JLA as part of a bluff. The League worked for days, turning the planet into a giant teleportation bee. The aliens were sent off to the prison planet of Takron Galtos, which Barda had mentioned several times during the ordeal. In another instance, Barda was badly wounded fighting the Queen Bee, a member of the newly reformed Injustice League. Once Mageddon was defeated, Barda and Orion resigned from the JLA. Barda and Scott then resided in the suburbs of Connecticut and were active adventurers. Barda never hesitated to lend a hand to her friends when her power and expertise were needed. Barda accompanied Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman to Apokolips to rescue Supergirl from Darkseid's clutches, and accepted an invitation from Oracle to become the heavy hitter of the Birds of Prey. A similar-looking character named Little Barda appeared as a member of the Teen Titans in 52 number 21. The character leaves the group from the same issue. Her relationship to Big Barda is unknown, though she escaped from Apokolips with Power Boy. In a confrontation with the Secret Six, she engaged Knockout, another X-Fury, in hand-to-hand combat. Although the fight was long and continued in the midst of other larger concerns for her team, it ended in a draw. Big Barda was killed in the first issue of Death of the New Gods. Her funeral occurred in the second issue of the series. Infinity Man was later revealed as the killer. He had been slaughtering all the new gods in the name of restarting a new age of deities. Final Crisis number 7 depicts Barda standing alongside Light Ray and Highfather in front of a reincarnated New Genesis. In the New 52, a reboot of the DC Universe, Big Barda and Scott are seen on Earth too. They are later seen with many of the comrades in Supertown. Jennifer Walters, the meek and mousy lawyer cousin of Bruce Banner, was the daughter of Sheriff Morris Walters. Agents of Nicholas Trask, a crime boss who had crossed paths with her father, shot and seriously wounded her on a day when her cousin was in town. Bruce gave her a blood transfusion, as no other donors of her blood type were available. The radioactive blood mutated Jennifer as it had her cousin, transforming her into the She-Hulk. Although Jennifer was at first savage, though not quite as savage as her cousin while in her She-Hulk form, she eventually gained the same intelligence she had as the normal Jennifer Walters. She quickly came to appreciate the confidence and assertiveness that had come with being the She-Hulk. For a long time, she felt more comfortable in her She-Hulk form than in her human form, but she has gradually grown comfortable in both forms, and realized that she had as much to offer the world in both her forms. After a brief solo career, she joined the Avengers. She temporarily replaced the Thing in the Fantastic Four after the war on Battleworld. She-Hulk was granted detached membership status with the Avengers upon joining the FF. During her tenure with the Fantastic Four, the She-Hulk had to prevent a radiation leak in a downed SHIELD helicarrier. This radiation exposure apparently mutated Jennifer to the point that she could not transform back into her original form. But this was an agreeable turn of events for her, since she preferred her She-Hulk form anyway. After the Fantastic Four, She-Hulk rejoined the Avengers following the Masters of Evil's attack on the mansion. During this tenure with the team, She-Hulk and the other members were influenced by Dr. Druid and his lover, Nebula, to appoint him chairman of the team. After Druid and Nebula were lost in space-time, She-Hulk and the two remaining members disbanded the team for a time. Jen eventually returned to the group after Captain America restarted the Avengers. She-Hulk joined the staff of District Attorney Blake Tower, where she met Louise Wheezy Mason, formerly the Golden Age superheroine called the Blonde Phantom. During this period, she discovered that Mason had manipulated Towers into hiring She-Hulk so that Mason could again star in a comic book and thus avoid dying of old age. Mason's husband, also a former comic book character, had passed away 3 years ago, but other, more popular characters from the era, such as Captain America and Namor the Submariner, were still around. She-Hulk was a member of the short-lived hero group the Fantastic Force. Later, while doing some legal work for Heroes of Hire, she also went on a few adventures with them and spent some time dating Luke Cage. Eventually, Jen returned to the Avengers and remained with the team for some time. On one adventure, the She-Hulk was exposed to fellow Avenger Jack of Hearts' radiation powers, causing Jen to lose control of the savage side of her personality. She injured several Avengers and went berserk in Bone, Idaho, virtually destroying the whole town. With Jen's fear and rage at an all-time high, the assembled Avengers couldn't stop her. Only the Hulk himself was able to slow her down until Jack of Hearts was able to use his powers to balance her gamma levels, and she regained control over her savage side. Jennifer's Avenger status eventually conflicted with her work at the DA's office, and Tower let her go. She was hired as a lawyer for the Superhuman Law Division of the New York firm of Goodman, Lieber, Kurtzberg, and Holloway. While training for a bout against the Elder of the Universe known as the Champion, Jen's strength level increased phenomenally. She took to wearing a modified version of John Jameson's Jupiter suit to keep her strength under control. Jen thought she developed enough control to operate without the Jupiter suit, but her worst fear came true when Scarlet Witch went temporarily insane and used her magic to cause Jen to lose control again. This time, she nearly killed Captain America and tore the Vision in half with her bare hands. Although she had been manipulated, She-Hulk was devastated at her part in the Vision's death and the destruction of the town of Bone, Idaho. Ashamed, She-Hulk quit the Avengers to resume her law career and spend more time as playing Jennifer Walters. Able to change forms at will again, Jennifer rediscovered she sometimes had wildly different views and opinions in each form. Whereas the She-Hulk, she came out publicly in favor of the Superhuman Registration Act. Yet as Jennifer Walters, she understood the views of those against the act. She-Hulk discovered that S.H.I.E.L.D. knew of her cousin's whereabouts after sending him off into space. Anticipating a problem, Tony Stark secretly had her injected with spin tech that transformed her to human form. During World War Hulk, Amadeus Cho temporarily restored her powers and she defeated Doc Samson in battle. Later, Tony Stark temporarily restored her powers so she could help evacuate New York City. She tried to convince the Hulk to stop his attack, but she was defeated and held captive with the other heroes at Madison Square Garden, which the Hulk had converted into a gladiatorial arena. Jennifer Walters regained her powers after visiting an alternate universe. Jennifer tasked Ben Urich to discover the identity of the Red Hulk. While She-Hulk went MIA following a battle between the Hulk and the Red Hulk, a Red She-Hulk appeared claiming Jennifer Walters was dead. It was later shown in a flashback that Red She-Hulk prevented Jennifer Walters from escaping from AIM custody. During this battle, Red She-Hulk brutally beat Jennifer and snapped her neck with a cable. In the last panel, Jennifer Walters appeared to be dead with the Red She-Hulk standing over her body. Though the Red She-Hulk claims she didn't know her own strength and questions Doc Samson whether it was real She-Hulk or a life model decoy, to which Samson answers, "You're here to follow orders, not to ask questions." Lyra later infiltrates the Intelligentsia, where she finds Jennifer in stasis. After the defeat of the Intelligentsia, Jennifer takes Lyra to live with her in New York. One day, during a charity event, she spotted the newly rebuilt Vision and promptly sought to make amends with him due to her being driven to her primal Hulk state and tearing him in half when Scarlet Witch lost her grip on her sanity and the control of her powers. They have a brief conversation, when she expresses her regret for what happened, and Vision forgives her. She then tells him not to get mad at Wanda before leaving. During the Fear Itself event, Jen formed a team called the Fearsome Four, with Howard the Duck, Frankenstein's monster, and Nighthawk to stop the Man-Thing who found himself driven into an uncontrollable rage, caused by the immense levels of fear generated by the Serpent's hammer wielders across the world. Facing various alternate universe heroes and Psycho Man, brought to Earth by the Man-Thing's connection to the nexus of all realities, the four were eventually able to confront their own fears and calm the Man-Thing, bringing an end to his rampage and saving the world before going their separate ways. Jennifer sides with the Avengers in the conflict against the X-Men and was sent to keep an eye on the Jean Grey School together with Moon Knight and Falcon after some of the school's teachers decided to join Cyclops. A fight soon breaks out, however, as frenzied gods Moon Knight into a fight. Jennifer seriously injures some kids who try to attack her, not realizing they were just kids, which leads to the rest of the school's faculty attacking them as well. When the original Fantastic Four planned a trip through time and space, they decided to call 4 replacements just in case something would happen. The Thing's replacement was Jen, and the 4 original members indeed got lost in their adventure. After Luke Cage started his own Avengers brand as the Mighty Avengers charity and assistance organization, Jen Walters came on board as house counsel and an occasional field member. Would you like to see this death battle happen next season, my fellow Screw Attack fanboys and fangirls? I would. I think it's going to be great having 2 super strong girls from 2 different universes fight each other. At least I think so anyways. Coming up next on Why I Wanted a Death Battle next season, Mamma Mia! How about the Mario vs. Sonic the Hedgehog remastered in 3D? Yes, you heard me. Remastered in 3D. So as always, don't forget to fave, comment, share, like, and subscribe. Help keep this account safe from internet haters, internet trolls, cyberbullies, and rude people. And as always, thanks for watching. Oh, and Merry Christmas, everybody.